Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to TRT Productions, and welcome to the Cigar Lounge. I am your host, Big Ran, and for the next 30 minutes, I will be as talkative as I can. Thanks for joining me. You could be anyplace else, but you're here with me. And that speaks volumes for me. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Let's get into it, people. Let's get into it. Tonight we're talking about our black athletes. And what made me think about this is I was reading about the passing of Jim Brown. Much prayers out to the Browns family. And I was thinking about all the things that this man has done for black athletes. Young, old, new, foreign, and what they had to come through. How they were first underpaid. How we were able to receive certain checks. How we were able to play in certain games. How we went from barnyard skipping to actually performing under the lights. My question is it being ruined right now? With all the stuff that's going on, all the young black athletes right now who are getting in trouble, who are facing time, who are looking at jail time, who are believed to be role models, and I've always said athletes should never be role models. They're definitely good teachers, but they should never be role models. Parents are role models. Grandparents are role models. Those are role models. Those are people you be with every day. You're not with an athlete every day, but he can be a good teacher. He can teach you what to do in order to be successful and how to get to his level. But that's either near there. People like Jim Brown and people like Muhammad Ali and people of those natures, and even people before them, people who ran in the Olympics, black athletes who couldn't get into certain doors, who couldn't, participate in certain events. We still have a little of that now, but not as much as we have now. But yet, some of these people are receiving enormous amounts of checks, man. I hope the money didn't ruin the image. Because having a lot of money can give you a certain persona, can give you a certain image, maybe can define your character, but it definitely can't erase your history, you know? And some of these young athletes right now, they're on the forefront of every billboard, every newspaper, some good, some bad, every magazine, every kid's wall, every bumper sticker. They're all over the place. And the title said that these young black athletes might have recognized their powers, their understanding, their roles, what they need to do. I'm not so sure about that. I'm just not so sure about that. I'm not knocking my black athletes, my young black athletes. No, hell, no. But I don't fault them either. Some of them come up in rough environments, man. And some of our past athletes have come up, black athletes have come up in real rough environments too. But this one, it just seems different. It's like we just lost an icon for righteousness, amongst the athletes. And what are we going to do to change our image that we right now we got an ugly image for our young black athletes. You know, from kneeling to the flag to being arrested in Russia. You know, it's the certain things that are going on that our young black athletes are just being put on the forefront, and they just can't shake it. And even if they rebound a certain way and they come back and they seem to gather themselves together, it still seems to be with a price. And then some of them have the sense of going back and doing it again. I don't think our young black athletes are in trouble, but they are in need of help. And a lot of them have started, especially the female athletes, have started a mental program for young black athletes who need it, who need the help. But I'm just asking myself, I was just sitting, and you sitting here and you reading, and you're like, man, Jim Brown did all of this for young black athletes for certain doors to walk through. He wasn't the only one. I'm just saying I just happened to read part of what Jim Brown did. And I just thought it was like, man, this man has done a lot for young black athletes to continue to get certain levels. The amount of money they was able to receive over the years. I'm just thinking if the money might have bent our egos a little bit, gave us a seat maybe we wasn't ready for, or maybe gave us a platform we couldn't handle. I don't know. I do know this, that if our black athletes don't take the time to realize that there are younger black athletes behind them who are looking up to them, who are watching the path that they take, same way you watch that path, it won't become reality. It'll be just a permanent dream. So there's a lot of things I think as athletes, a lot of things should change. But I think society needs to ease up on them too, because times is different. Money is different. Money puts you in a different spotlight. Before, you could be famous and make a certain amount of money, but hey, but now when you rich and you famous and you in that spotlight, social media puts you in a whole nother realm, man. Social media can catch you doing things that other black athletes wouldn't have been caught doing in the past. You have to remember that. And I say that because I hate to compare, but you got to think about it. What if at the times if Jim Brown would have had social media, you think there were a lot of things he would have been caught doing, just like John Morant been caught doing at that time, now that they got social media and they can go live? What if they could go live back then with Jim Brown and follow him around, and if he was doing certain things like that? I'm just saying you have to ease up on our athletes. Now, I'm not saying that they understand their power. I don't think they understand it yet, but I think they come in with the good grasp of and the knowledge of what they need to do in order to prepare the next generation, because they know they're following. The next generation is following. Athletes are the most important things besides our lawyers and our doctors and our professors and our teachers. People who prepare you for life, not just prepare your mind for adding, subtracting, and reading and writing. These are people who actually have to prepare you for life. And I think sports prepare you for life to a certain degree. It gives you responsibility, understanding, discipline, power, strength, acknowledgement, what to eat, what not to eat, how to take care of your body the right way, to be that type of athlete, to be the best athlete you can be. But I also believe that if you give them the proper education to be a good athlete, why not give them the proper education on how to spend their money, how to become a model citizen, how to change the world by doing the right thing? And we got a long way to go for that, man. You still got kids growing up in the inner city who still scoring touchdowns, throwing up signs, hitting threes, throwing up signs. So you got to remember the gestures that these athletes do, the three to the head and all these things that they do, and the gestures. You got every child in the world watching you now because social media puts you in that light. Your whole dimension changes with time. Time has made you so famous and noticeable that it's ridiculous, man. Forget the paparazzis. It's the people next to you that hurt you, man, with these live cameras, man. You know what I always said to people? And people always, it's like how the people always laugh when I say things like this, but you notice how cameras follow the rich, but paparazzi follow the wealthy. And when cameras follow the rich, that means everybody can see everything. You can't see everything with the wealthy, because the only time they take pictures is when paparazzi's around. You got to think about that, people. Our young athletes got to put that in their mind. They're giving away a lot of money that they don't want to give away. We have to be self-conscious of that. As black athletes, we have to be self-conscious about the money that we're receiving and who's putting it in our hands. Do they really want to give us this money? Or are you performing a service? Are you really performing a service? Please be self-conscious of that, man. And why I always said I never understood why we never started our own league. Even if it failed, we never even tried. You know? We have the outcome now. You have a lot of retired athletes who have the money to put up. And I know it's scary because I know they're gonna shake the world. They're gonna knock it down. They don't want the sports level from a black perspective to be on that level. It would change the face of the world, man. Change the income of the world dramatically if that would happen. So until we can get that, and I don't believe that'll ever happen in my lifetime, but until then, I believe our athletes are one of the most important projects. And I do say projects because you have to put a lot into it. You have to put a lot into our black athletes, and for our black athletes to get a lot out of it. While they put in the time and work, we got to put in the support, and I'm including myself too. When they make mistakes, instead of us coming down, we got to figure out why they made this mistake, and maybe use social media to uplift, like, yo, this is, a good kid, or this is that. And maybe we got to teach our athletes, maybe that ain't the time to throw up your signs. Or maybe you should stop the gestures to the head after you're shooting a three, or certain things when you do when you dunk on a person. You got to remember there are children watching, even mine. It's crazy how I had a conversation at work the other day about what the children will follow and see. And you'll sit there and you think you'll be doing certain things and you think the child is not paying attention. Meanwhile, he's imitating everything you do. And it's like you don't really grasp what he's watching. The words that are coming out your mouth, what he follows, your hand gestures. So imagine you as an athlete. When you have a child glued to the television who's waiting for his favorite player to play on the field. Even adults. And people on them game day Sundays who break out them team jerseys It is real, people, and black athletes are caught in the middle of all of that controversy, all of that. It's sad when a man can make millions, but he can't make a mistake. You can make millions, but you can't make a mistake. Because you're making millions, you have your mistakes have to be flawless, and that's what separates a lot of black athletes from other athletes. And we have to live flawless. No man can live flawless. Not even a priest can live flawless. And that's no disrespect to the priest, but he's still a man. Athletes are human beings, people. What type of human beings? Well, that's another story. But they're human beings, and for us to sit here and expect that our athletes will do no wrong, that they're the most perfect human beings on this earth, is crazy. There'll be a time, though. There'll be a time where our black athletes will turn it around. I know it will. And it may not be in my lifetime. And that's all right. I can accept the good with the bad because I've seen how far we come. As someone at my job would say, I have a 60-40 lifetime. 60% in the past, 40% to the future. And I love it. Because that 60% knows a lot. And that 40% is willing to learn everything. Shout out, Stevie. Appreciate you, man. Didn't realize how important that 60-40 was until I actually had to sit down and think about that 60-40. Great compliment to me, brother. Great compliment to me. But let's just think about it. Tough times for our athletes. They come a long way. And it's crazy how it took the passing of Jim Brown to actually make me put this together to realize that, man, our black athletes have come a long way. Financially, mentally, I think we still have a long way to go. But financially, I think we have not reached our peak, but I think we have touched that mountain enough that if we put enough athletes together who make millions, I think that we can overcome that mountain. But that's until we all able to work together. That's a hard thing to work together when you're working with millions, you know. That's why those who can do it in corporations and who can do it in business, who can work with millions without killing each other and be successful at it, I applaud you. No matter what color you are, I applaud you for that. That's hard to do. I'm not asking for us to give our black athletes a pass. I'm not asking for us to give our black athletes a break, but I am asking for all of us who know what that inner city life, a lot of our black athletes do come from the inner city. We know what that life is like, and it's hard to shake. You may make it, but there might be just that one person who's willing to go that mile to bring you just back just that little bit sometimes. So let's be careful, people, you know? I think if we take our time and we catch our athletes, I think we should catch them around high school. I think as children playing the game in the elementary level, I think we should just let them be free. Don't bombard their mind with color. Don't bombard their mind with money. Let the game just be the game and nothing else. But when they get to high school and they get to that level, that's when the game becomes different. Now you're playing for an educational right to sit at a university for free. The game is different. And that's where I think A lot of our black athletes, they get they 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 get derailed right there, coming out of the high school level. So let's work early, people. You never know how many lives you could save if you reach out just for one. And I think our black athletes are worth it. I just think that they go through a lot. A lot of people don't understand. As a former coach myself, I used to coach a lot of my inner city children who used to have a whole lot of problems. And I was able to deal with each and every one of them. Not because I cared, because at that time I had their ear. I always said when you become a leader, there's two things you can do. You can either lead or you can guide. When you become a leader, you only can lead or you can guide. Now you could lead someone down any path, but if you guide them down that path and you teach them what that path has to offer, I guarantee you later they'll meet you on another path and they'll thank you. So you know what? If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be on this path. I got a lot of coaches like that. It's always my pleasure to present you with cool conversation in the cigar lounge. I am your host, Big Ram. I hope you live a long and prosperous life. I hope you live a fair life. I hope you only judge those who deserve to be judged, but not by you, but by God. And you have to really understand that line to know that line. On behalf of TNT Productions, I want to say thank you for giving us your ear. May your neighbors love you. May harm never come to you, and may heaven accept you. My name is Big Man. I've been your host for the evening. You have a pleasant evening. Good night, people. Good night.